us today.
Live and in person online, 6 months and counting here in the COVID quarantine. We're grateful to be alive, grateful just to be here. Wherever we are is a perfect place to be. Isn't that right, Phil? Philip.
Amen.
Amen. Our guest this morning, Reverend Philip Schulman, is here in San Antonio this week, although he has been living in Florida.
Yes.
And he lived here in San Antonio for many years and then moved to Seattle and Florida and points in between. A citizen of the world doing amazing work. You'll hear more about him later. Mostly I want to say welcome, brother. It's good to have you back in San Antonio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. And we'll have Phil sharing his spiritual gifts and talking about his post-traumatic spiritual gifts after his encounter with the truck while he was riding his bicycle. So we'll hear more about that from him. And now we invite you to join us in our Come Celebrate song as we remember that we're here to celebrate ourselves, each other, and all of creation. So we'll see you in a minute, Bill.
Come celebrate, gather together, come celebrate, one by one, come celebrate, now and forever, let us remember we are one. Come celebrate, join in a circle, come celebrate, side by side, come celebrate, now and forever, let us remember we are one. Celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate, 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 come celebrate, 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 come celebrate, yes, celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate, come celebrate, gather together, come celebrate, heart open wide, come celebrate, now and forever, let us remember we are one. We are one. We are one.
So now I invite you to join us in honoring the four directions as we, if you're able to physically turn and face into the four directions, as we begin by turning to the east, the direction of the rising sun, the new beginnings, and infinite possibilities in and around us. And it will turn and face the south, the direction of the noonday sun, of abundance, of well-being. And then turning to face the west, we open to the direction of the setting sun, of the letting go, of opening to the mystery of what comes next. Always present, and that are calling us to stand firm in this present moment. And then finally, we turn within to that realm of spirit, to the infinite now that is unfolding within us and around us. And so we invite you to join us, if you're able, to stand and face to the east. O great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Together.
Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around.
Turning to the south.
Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, You are inside and all around.
Turning to the west.
Oh, great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around.
Turning to the north.
Oh, great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around.
Turning within.
Oh, great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around.
Oh, Holy One, Holy Wonder, lover of our souls, God, Goddess, Infinite One, whatever name we place upon you, upon this sense of oneness within us. We take this time now to honor and nurture the sacred in ourselves, each other, and all of creation as we join with the two-leggeds and the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the ones that swim and crawl with rocks, trees, grasses, with the seas and the skies and the stars, with the oceans, with all of life. We affirm our oneness. We affirm that we are one. Together, we are one. And once again, we are one. And for this opportunity to live into our spiritual gifts, for this we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
Come to the light, come to Christ, come to Krishna, come to Buddha, to the Father and the Mother Goddess too. Come to Allah, come to Jesus, as the sacred spirit frees us and reminds us who we really are in truth. Come remember who we really are in truth. Come you doubters and believers, come you frightened and confused, come all you faithful and you faithless ones, come too. Come you losers, come you winners, come you would-be saints and sinners, come remember we are really one in truth. Come remember who you really are in truth. Come walking tall or on your knees, come in your fancy clothes or ragged as you please, come wearing hats or shaved and bald, come feeling sad or not feeling much at all. But come, don't stay outside, hiding in the fear you feel inside. Come, remember who you are. Come to the light, come to Christ, come to Krishna, come to Buddha, to the Father and the Mother Goddess too. Come to Mary, come to Jesus, as the sacred spirit frees us and reminds us who we really are in truth. Come remember who you really are in truth. Come you givers and you takers players and you very clever fakers. Come you heroes and banditos on the run. Come you lovers and you liars and you prisoners of desire. Come remember that we really are all one. Come remember that we really are all one. Come feeling mad or feeling scared. Come feeling sad cause you think nobody cares. Come all alone or in a crowd. Come sit in silence or sing it right out loud. But come, you'll stay behind, hiding in the shadows of your mind. Come, remember who you are. Come to the light, come Christ, come Krishna, come Buddha, Father and the Mother, God bless you. Come to Hanoi or Jesus or the Saint priest, and remind us who we really are in. Come remember who we really are in. Come remember who you really are.
Oh, thank you, Rudy. One of my favorites. And this poem for today is by Rosemary Watola Trump. The title is Where We Are Headed. At first, we just say flower. How thrilling it is to name. Then it's aster, begonia, chrysanthemum. And we spend our childhood learning to separate one thing from another. Daffodil, edelweiss, fern. We learn which have petals, which have 6. And we say, this is a gladiolus, this hyacinth. And we fracture the world into separate identities. Iris, jasmine, lavender. Divorcing the world into singular bits. And then, when we know how to tell one thing from another, perhaps at last we feel the tug to see not what makes things different, but what makes things the same. Perhaps we feel the pleasure that comes when we start to blur the lines. And once again, everything is flower. And by everything, I mean everything. Where we are headed. Thank you, Rosemary.
It's interesting that where we're headed is where we came from, where we've always been. Place of oneness. What a wonderful way to remember it.
With the flower.
By everything?
Everything. Everything. So we take a time now to breathe into that everything with our communal breath. And we invite you to join us in breathing together and remembering that we are literally all breathing the same air. So let's take 4 deep, long communal breaths together. And as we inhale, I invite you to not just ingest the air, but to fully digest it into every cell of your being. Take it in mindfully and take each breath consciously. And as we exhale, then to let go and release into that exhale, let go of all that is past, so that we can come and be more fully in this precious moment now. And so I will ring the bowl for each of the 4 breaths as we begin on the inhale together. once more. Truly, we remember that we are one. So it is.
We have been broken. We have been blessed. Heart torn wide open and put to the test. Forced to let go of all we know best. Trusting in God and let go of the rest. Healing our wounds, bearing our scars. Carrying our hopes in old leaky jars. Still daring to wish on a bright fallen star. Grateful we've managed to make it this far. For a change of heart changes everything else. Strange as it seems, it's still true. And should we forget, it remains the same. For life is a game, how we cannot lose. Remember to choose. And we have been broken, and we have been blessed. Hearts torn wide open, put to the test. Knowing that there's no failings. Give in to life, let go of the rest. The change of heart changes everything else. Strange as it seems, yet still true. For the rules of the game remain the same. Yeah, life is a game. We remember to choose. We have been broken. We have been blessed. Still we keep going and hope for the best. Knowing that there is no fail in this test. Give in to life and keep trusting the rest. Give in to God and let go of the rest. We have been broken and we have been our dear brother Philip Schulman has certainly experienced this brokenness and this blessedness in his life in recent years. I'll tell you all about it. It's a story that's very powerful and strong, and we're so grateful that you're here still.
Yes, still with us.
Still great.
We're still here.
We're still here. And Philip Schulman has been a Unitarian minister for many years. He served as a supply minister for a number of congregations in the Southwest and was a pulpit minister at the Community Unitarian Church here in San Antonio. And before leaving the state to continue his work in nonviolence and
Restorative justice.
And restorative justice. And he's a man who has really lived the scripture as well as anybody I know. He feels called to do the work of doing the impossible and doing it as well as he can. Is that, I don't know if that's fair to say, but I'm glad to call him friend. We're glad to welcome back to San Antonio for a brief visit. Hello, Brother Philip.
Hello, and thank you. I'm pleased to be here. As you just said a lot of it. Just right, it's all right there. I am pleased to be alive. On November 6, 2017, my bicycle and I were struck by a half-ton Dodge Ram truck. Thanks to prompt emergency medical response and surgery, I didn't die. I remained unconscious for days. The extent of brain damage was unknown. There was uncertainty if I would walk or talk again. And here we are, going a few years later, and here I am with you. Yay. I'm also pleased to be here in the circle again. My involvement and participation in the circle goes back to 1994, to the early days of the Incarnate Word barn there, Sister Alice, I forget. And the Kenwood, I forgot that too. I go back a ways, and it's and I've enjoyed the circle and appreciated your work and the ministry or work, the celebration, the work of celebration and awakening this circle. Just to name a couple, I've appreciated the music. That's always been a big part. And to name two, the closing will do. The love is the only power. Love is the only way. This is a theological statement. I know a lot of I'm assuming a lot of your circle, folks in the circle, identify as spiritual, not religious. But I'm a religious guy, and I think there's terms. That's a theology. And this song, that one of them I love, you did one of my favorites before. But another one is the In All Things Give Thanks. And that is a practice, the practice of this circle. And not just, words, in all things give thanks, but in all things give thanks. So that's why I'm glad to be back in this circle, because I've been nurtured by that dance and that song and that theology and that practice. And I'm glad to be with you. Ian said, all of you who are online now, or if you're going to be viewing, if you're viewing this at a later time, I appreciate our connection. I appreciate this chance to connect with you. Again, thinking in religious terms, I want to mention prayer. That many people's definition of prayer is like, Daddy in the sky, please give me what I want. I don't want to mock that, but I and many of us expanded our definition of prayer to be, because we all, whatever theology or belief system, we all know what it's like sometimes to be estranged. Maybe you have a best friend, and so what the world like when you have a best friend, and then when you're estranged, or a lover, or your family, or even estranged from God or life, or even from self. And we all know this isolation, this alienation, and the longing, the beautiful, powerful longing to reconnect. That's prayer by me. And that's why I'm glad for this chance to reach out for a connection with you right here. And I'm also grateful to share my story, my experience. My experience tells me that telling my story, well, people have found it inspiring. And I hope it's inspiring for you. I hope you are able to find in it something that's useful. A word about my speech. I had to learn to speak again. And it's ironic, I was a public speaker, and when I was still really just barely or less far along in my relearning to speak, I then get asked to do a couple of keynotes at national conference, state conference. And this is like it. It's like, wow, it's frustrating when I couldn't form the words or think of the words. And it was wonderful to have that opportunity. And so today I've come a long way, but I still may stumble over my words at sometimes. And I want to not apologize. I want to invite us to use that as a cue for compassion. And that's a lot about my post-traumatic spiritual gifts, is like dealing with imperfection and embracing what is, including the first reactions that are like cringing or whatever. So if that happens to you, what did he say? I invite you into compassion for me and yourself. And now I'm going to tell the early part of the story. Robert Fulghum wrote a book, All I Need to Know I Have Learned in Kindergarten. Well, most of what I would share to you about the challenge and the gifts of the trauma and the post-trauma were present in the first part. And that's when I'm going to tell you that story. It's, I might say, buckle up. Some of it wasn't easy or fun. But remember, here I am. It's got a happy ending. Okay. On the day that my life changed, I texted my brother, Michael. He had invited me to participate in the final kayak expedition for his second book. We planned to leave early Tuesday morning. On Monday, I texted him that I would not arrive at his house until 9 p.m. or so. When my housemate came out at 6, he saw my car in the driveway and found my cell phone inside charging. He correctly assumed that I had gone out my bicycle and incorrectly assumed that I would be back soon. A few days later, I regained consciousness in the hospital intensive care unit. I woke gently as if from a night's sleep. Looking down, I saw my badly broken body. I felt achy all over. I didn't remember the accident. I remembered setting out on my bike, and I knew I didn't reach my destination. I put 2 and 2 together. Surprisingly, I felt somewhat calm. When the pain medication wore off, I experienced dread. I had feelings of, as time went on, loneliness, and I was pleased when staff entered the room. Soon I had a sense of something being very strange. It was a bit like being in a dream. I knew it wasn't a dream or a movie. Although I felt very present, I imagined, or maybe I remembered, the presence of another realm nearby. Today is actually reminding me, because I'm here and the studio's right next door. I can hear, but there's this little bit of disconnection. Things are strange. It's wonderful to be here. Much nicer here today. I soon had a sense of being very strange, something very strange. It's like I was watching a movie in which I had a part. I was the observer and the actor in the movie. Then I grasped an aspect of the separation that I was experiencing. I realized that I wasn't speaking. I tried, and discovered I was unable to speak. This didn't freak me out at all. Somehow I totally accepted it. Well, I accepted it. I expected it. I would begin talking soon. Later, I had a very different experience as the pain rose and there was dread. I needed to let my brother and others know what happened, where I was. I wanted to scream, "I've got something to tell you." Staff understood only that I felt that I was agitated. Fortunately, my brother appeared in my room. The police had contacted him. My relief was enormous. There were tears in both of our eyes. The relief was short-lived. I started judging him as not being authentic, and I became frustrated with him. I was annoyed at the speed of his words. I experienced the sound of his voice as hurting my head. My frustration surprised and overwhelmed me. I was relieved when he left and sad about that. I started communicating with staff by using expressions and soon began having some garbled words. I slept most of the time and could tell that my condition was improving. My brother's next visit was better too. He said that my first words were food. Although relatively peaceful, I felt a strange disorientation. From my room, I couldn't see the street or sky. I saw only another building with a bright neon sign. I watched it become dark and light and dark again. It was like time-lapse photography. I couldn't tell how many days went by. I left my room only one time in 10 days. It was a trip down windowless hallway to an operating room. I was lost in space, disconnected from nature, blurry-headed from trauma and the medication. I started seeing fantastic images. Have you ever started dreaming before you were asleep? Like right before you were asleep? It was something like that. But the images seemed real. I turned to look at them. Actually, I would open my eyes and the images would disappear. I saw strange things with my eyes open too. Orbs of light, and more commonly known as other things known as floaties. Fortunately, I'm a long time fan of weird. I was amused and curious by this altered state. However, the noises were more troubling. Beeps, alarms, and even voices hurt my head. I was hearing doctors and nurses talking in the hall outside my room. They seemed to be talking about me repeatedly. There was also a public service announcements happening and advertisements for hospital programs being broadcast over a PA. I wasn't quite sure what was real. It reminded me of a scene from Alice in Wonderland. A speech therapist came to visit me, came in. She said that I was going to get better. It's just going to take a long time. She said that singing would help me recover my speech. She asked me if I could sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. What surprised me was that not that I couldn't pronounce the words, it was that I could barely remember the tune. I did a little better on Happy Birthday. I kept trying to sing. I didn't let up. When I later began communicating a bit, I asked all my guests to either sing with me or pray with me. Someone brought me a letterboard so that I could point and spell. I didn't have much success. Writing on paper didn't go much better. The problem was that I was still thinking in big words and complex sentences, long sentences. I couldn't get my thoughts out, and I kept forgetting what I was trying to communicate. The problem was an inability to concentrate. Staff seemed to speed in and out of the room quickly. I needed a way slower pace to even begin to communicate. And sometimes they caused me physical pain, moving me or stuff, taking procedures, and I couldn't tell them specifically what was happening. After a few days of this, a voice from childhood trauma rose up inside of me. No more! I can't take it anymore! I screamed inside myself, and outside I was acting like a cranky child, hurting and fatigued. I feared that I would alienate my helpers. I knew that if I didn't make a change, things would not go well for me. Fortunately, help was on its way. My former partner, Wynn, reached out from San Antonio, to contact my local people in Florida. She asked the vegan meetup to bring me healthy food. Joyce from that group was also someone to take nonviolent communication classes with me and from me. And she brought me miso and other vegan meals. Her food was manna from heaven. And her visit was an island of joy in a sea of struggle. That night I was writhing in pain again. I was tired emotionally and physically. This is horrible, I thought. What have I done? I can't handle this. Alone and in despair, I longed for support and imagined there was none to be had. I felt hopelessness overtaking me. Then one thought caused a shift in me. I remembered Joyce telling me how Wynn had reached out to her through the internet to advocate and care for me. Recalling this, remembering that I was loved, I felt warmth, relief, and ease in my body. Although still in pain, I could sleep. I could be still, and sleep came quickly. In the beginning, I perceived myself as alone in the face of terrible pain and loss. My perception yielded to a sweeter reality. Love began pouring in. Cards, prayers, and emails came from far and wide. Eventually, there were meals, rides, generous gifts to support my medical needs. Love lifted my spirit. I began thinking and acting and responding positively and effectively. Staff responded and treated me with warmth. I became determined to recover, and resources fell in my lap. The support and love I needed helped me to keep on keeping on through months of pain and work. I found this, with the spirit, I found the stamina to do hours of therapeutic activity every day. At first, I was unable to move from my bed. After a few months, I had very limited ability to move my right arm, and I wasn't permitted to put weight on my right leg. I used a wheelchair for 6 months. I could tell that the therapists were not used to someone who could take everything they would dish out and ask for more and then do it. A friend informed me about a fitness class for people with mental and physical disabilities. Eventually, I began weightlifting, swimming, gentle stretching, cranial sacral therapy, EMDR, recovery groups, cutting sugar and gluten, and getting lots of sleep. Well, those were the first days. And as I said, since then, I have enjoyed I use that word. I choose that word. I have enjoyed recovery, on your somewhat miraculous recovery. And people have said it's been inspiring. I'm inspiring, and for me, I was just trying to survive. I like being inspiring. I imagine we all do. But as you heard, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. And well, I was successful and fortunate enough that I recovered enough that my disabilities are no longer visible, or at least not glaring. And that's a credible privilege. But one thing I really want to say, to be known, is that just because you don't see someone's disabilities or recognize them, it doesn't mean they're not there. And in fact, I've been reluctant to take on this label, this division. We were talking about I'm a disabled person, labels, they're useful, and there's political dangers in them. And what I want known with this also is, like, it's not just disabled people, but every one of us. We don't know what people are going through. We don't know how they're struggling. And that's one of the spiritual gifts that I've gotten from the experience. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. It wasn't all pretty or fun. I mean, this thing cracked me open. Cracked me open to feel and be aware of much more suffering that I didn't see or feel, or I don't know, to connect with the same way before. I started hearing stories from more and more people that would share their stories with me about what they've been through or going through. And that's not been easy, but I'm glad for it. The Dalai Lama said each event in life offers us the choice and opportunity to harden our heart or become more compassionate. As I say, it's being inspiring it's wonderful, and I'm happy to be that. And also, as you guess, I want to be known. I think we all do, for the other parts, known for the struggle, known for the invisible disabilities. And I'm grateful for those people who meet me where I am when I'm not feeling too inspiring. People would ask me after the accident, a lot of times I was confused. They would say, "How you doing?" And I was like, it was like a question from another language. I don't know what they're talking about. I was trying to be social and polite and come up with an answer. Finally, I came on with an answer because I was hearing how great I was doing. I said, "How you doing?" "I'm doing better than I realize." And I kept saying that. And it take on more and more meaning as time's going on. You might feel free to try it. Like, "How you doing?" "You're doing better than you realize." I think we all are. So I do continue in many ways. I don't have with the struggle and the effects of the traumatic brain injury. The word trauma implies, it's by definition, that it's not happens and over. There's lingering effects, and some of those lingering effects are permanent. But I love the song that Rudy sung, broken and blessed. And I believe that. I can't always explain it, but one of the greatest spiritual gifts, when I said I'm glad to be here, is it's beyond reason. I experienced some of the toughest, the most pain I ever had, and horror. It was horror, but even in the midst of that, there was something I wanted to hold on to, because I noticed I wanted to live. You know, a lot of people, I have known a lot of friends that have attempted suicide, and it's very common after the act to suicide, there's a thought like, oh no, I don't want to die, I want to live, you know. And this is maybe it was something like that, was not exactly the same, but I was experiencing this wanting to live in the midst of this, how hard it is, and noticing, hey, even in this, I want to live. And that's something I want to remember, because these are hard times, and I'm very fortunate to realize, to have this shift. This is a spiritual gift from the trauma, that it's not about it always being sweet and fun, even in the hardships. Life is, well, what, how do we see life? What do we think life is? What do you experience it? And I have had the experience, and I choose. Awesome. Awesome. These are hard times for I think for everybody. A lot of people, certainly. And I bet you're like me, that you've had hard times in the past, and you've found you have resiliency, and you got through it something. And this is times we call on that. And Rabbi Zalman, no, Nachman of Breslov said, and I won't be able to quote it exactly. It's like, when there's hard times, let songs of joy fill the air. That's what I want to do, and play, give it its best. So that's why I'm grateful to be here with you today. And thank you so much for listening to my experience. I hope that you can find something that you will use to be a blessing, to use for a blessing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks for the reminder that it's all a gift.
So won't you take a quiet breath or two with us, as you open your mind and your heart even more fully to the message, as you feel yourself willing to receive the inspiration in these words, as they move through you, as you right now. And where are we headed? And we don't know, but we focus on that word, the flower. We focus on, once again, allowing everything to be the same. Not on the differences, but focusing on our similarities, focusing on the gifts we each have to share and the gifts we each have to learn. So in this moment, I invite you to rest and relax and release any illusion of separation from the divine, from the source. I invite you to be open and willing to perceive with clarity that you are already whole and complete and filled with divine love. This is who you really are, who you've always been. One with the Holy One, one with all of life, one with the everything that is, that has been, that will be. So take a moment to feel this fullness of spirit flowing in and through you, to see with the eyes of your heart, to see that you are connected to the all and the everything. Won't you feel this as the truth? As you rest in the silence now. From this place of peace, won't you send your love out into the world, blessing as you have been blessed, seeing others as you have been seen. Remembering that you are doing better than you realize. Remembering that you are a divine spark of the sacred, open and willing to perceive and receive the truth of our oneness today and tomorrow and all of our tomorrows. And for this opportunity to be together, we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is.
Everything's a gift as I learn to lift it all with gratitude. Everything's a gift, and as I turn the shift beyond my sometimes fearful attitude, the morning sun reminds me that my losses are behind me, and everything I'll ever need will always be right here. Everything's a gift, but that's only I let myself be open to receive it. Because much of what is stressing me can often end up blessing me when I am ready to believe it. Because when I see an enemy, what I really see is reflections of a hidden self longing to be free. And sometimes I remember, and sometimes I forget. It doesn't really matter, 'cause there's nothing to regret. 'Cause one by one my losses fade. Day by day I've got it made. If I can just be grateful, then everything's a gift. Everything, 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 everything is a gift. In all things give thanks.
Oh, and as we feel our gifts, as we give thanks, we lift up our offering baskets, holding our donations in our hands and in our hearts, supporting the work of the circle. We speak the words, I give to you, O Spirit, as you have given to me, with heart wide open. Together, I give to you, O Spirit, as you have given to me, with heart wide open. And we also lift up the names and the situations in the prayer circle, knowing that all is well and all shall be well. And if you have a name or a situation to add to our prayer circle list, please email us at circle@celebrationcircle.org, or you can put it here in the comments as well. So we lift up each and every one up into the light, into the love, into the well-being that is available to each and every one of us. For this, we say thank you. Thank
you. When I was a boy each week, Sunday I would go to church, sit and listen to the priest talk about the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. 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 When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two. Jesus turned the water to wine. I remember feeling sad. Everything would not mirror still, but now I can't help but know everything is a miracle. 'Cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Sing it with me. Everything is holy now. Feel it with me. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Wine from water is not that small, but an even better trick is that we're even here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. This morning as we're gathered here in a circle of sacred light, I can see who we really are. I can see you shining bright. Makes me want to bow my head, makes me want to sing out loud. 'Cause I'm so very blessed to know everything is holy now. All together. Everything is holy now. 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 Everything.
Oh, it is holy, all of it. And so are you. Let's just breathe into that for a few minutes here, for a few moments together. We mean everything. So as we prepare for this time of our virtual closing circle, there's a few things I want to let you know about that are happening. First of all, on September 14th, our Intention Mandala workshop will be happening with Natalie Burtonshaw on Zoom. We have it set up as an event on our Facebook page, so you can go there and get the link. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. It's a great time of just cutting and pasting and connecting to spirit and to what your intention is for you and your path forward.
And it's a gift.
It's a gift. It's free. Join us. Those of us who have done it have really had a good time together, being together. And the Big Give is happening. It's happening right now, but the official Big Give Day is this coming Thursday, September the 10th. Normally the Big Give is a 24-hour giving day, but they started it a little bit early this year because nonprofits all over are challenged in these times. And so we hope you'll consider giving a gift to the Celebration Circle, and either today at our donate button on our website, or however you're able to do that. And consider making your gift a recurring gift, and there's a place to do that on our website as well. Also, the altars are coming to you online. The Artist Altars online auction is happening in just we're going to kick it off on September 18th.
What do they look like?
And it'll run through October the 9th. And we're going to have a big kickoff and a closing. And this one I want to share is by Daniel Stoneham.
Oh, wow.
And it is quite beautiful. Let's see if I can get it right there. And unfortunately, I don't have the title right here. Daniel, I think you're online. If you'll type your title in for your altar, it is really, really beautiful. And we want to thank you and all the artists who have contributed their work to this exhibit that we didn't get to have last March. But we're having it now, and I want to show you one more. This is by dear friend, Circle family member, Teresa Powers. And it is called Striped Beauty. And she is a painterly painter. And it is this beautiful iris in the center that just glistens and glows. And the sides are painted as well. And I'll show you the back.
Wow.
And then the back is just as beautiful.
There you go, Teresa.
Teresa Powers. Thank you, dear. So we're just going to show you a couple altars every Sunday so that you get a little taste of what it's going to be like. Universal Love, that's the title. Thank you, Daniel. And so that's coming up, and we hope you'll want to have one of these altars in your home with you, or more. Some of us have more than one in our homes. And David Karras, if you're online, I know you have multiples. It's very exciting to see them gathered. Next Sunday, Shanna Covey will be here with us talking about loving yourself is your superpower. And we're going to have special music from our friends Armand and Angelina, who are in Florida. And they've been with us in the circle in the past, but going to be live all the way from Florida. So we're excited about that. And I just want to welcome back Reverend Philip Schulman and bring him in with us as we close together with our words, love is the only power, love is the only way. And we hope you'll join us as we sing that together.
Thanks again for joining us, Philip.
Thank
Glad
you.
to have
It
you
was
here.
very powerful and quite, yes, inspirational. So here we go together.
Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, 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 love. Watch our circle grow. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, 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 love. Watch our circle grow.
Let me get your vocals back on. I think there. Oh, hold on a minute. There we go. I think we can hear you now.
As I said,
So,
that was a
go ahead.
and it's spiritual practice. I love it. Thank you. Watch our circle.
Thank you for joining.
Expand in consciousness. I'm down for that. I want to do that.
You are doing it.
So are you in town in San Antonio for a while yet, or are you heading back to Florida?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I've been there since May actually, and let's just say I'm in transition, and I'm not sure what's next, but have two houses that I had rented, and the tenants are gone, and I'm fixing them up, and I'm here, and we'll see what's next.
Wonderful. It's great to have you here with us today.
It's great to be. I wish everybody could. The back view is good. The front view is good too.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Phil has had trouble with his recording it on his microphone and his phone. So we invited him to come sit on our screened-in porch and do his talk from here. So we're actually probably about, I don't know, 30 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
We're in a separate building. He's on the screened porch outside.
we're being COVID safe and all that good stuff.
Wearing our masks when we interact, but he's getting to look at our all the birds and the trees outside and in the yard. So we're grateful, and I want to thank each one of you for being here with us, for bringing your heart, your soul, your shining light to our Celebration Circle family. It means a lot. And again, please feel free to send in your prayer requests and your donations. We'll accept them all lovingly, and hope that you'll join us again next Sunday and the Sundays after. We have quite a lineup coming. I mentioned Shanna Covey coming next Sunday. Also, on the 20th, we have Greg Tamplin, who is a speaker, musician, gifted humorist, who will bring his music and his he will tickle your funny bone. That's what I'm going to say. Quite entertaining. And then also on September 27th, Reverend Mary Earle will be here talking about Julian of Norwich and the gifts that come from her sacred texts, the first woman who actually wrote a spiritual text. And so this is coming up. And Tom Ricks is coming in October, artist sharing his inspiration. So we've got great Sundays planned ahead for you, and we're grateful that you're here. And we want to remind you that we love you.
We
bless you. We see the light in you.
Go in peace.